video game. Not in the bottom of your rib.
These are the $5 off.
Yeah, same idea. So this is their offer. And I'll put, I'm going to cover up the reading. All right.
Hey, how are you? One for tonight? I'm good. How are you? I saw him. Yeah, he came in. Okay. That is funny. Is he here tonight?
No, he's not.
Will you ask him to give me a call, okay? Because I want to talk.
I can barely see you over this thing here. Can you hear me? Nope. Welcome. My name is Louise Cole. I'm on the board of directors for Out on Screen. This is our 5th annual Lesbian and Gay Film Festival. I'm happy to see you all here, to see Victor and Victoria. As always, if you've ever worked for a volunteer organization, you know how much work goes into putting on an event such as a film festival or anything that lasts more than 2 hours or even 2 hours. It takes a lot of time. So even though a lot of the board members aren't here and the committee heads aren't here because they're out there working hard, I'd like to extend my thanks to the board members, to the people who've headed committees, and this year in particular to our volunteer corps. We were fortunate enough this year to be able to hire a paid administrator and have an actual office to work out of, something that we've never had before. So Gay Holly has been our hardworking administrator, and we have a corps of incredible volunteers this year who have put in a lot of time and hard work, and I'd like to thank them all. I don't know if you had the opportunity to see the brochure that Tara is handing out in the lineup. It concerns accessibility to the film festival, in particular to people who are lower income and perhaps can't afford the $4 and the $6 to come and see the films, and also on top of that, accessibility to mothers or single parents who are low income and can't afford childcare for the event. Out on Screen as an organization will be looking at the possibility or the reality of setting up a childcare fund for next year so that low-income people can have some money for childcare and hopefully to attend the film as well. And if you believe that this is important and you support Tara, she'll be, I'm not sure for every screening, but certainly she's outside the door there willing to talk to you. And you may want to read this summary here that she spent a lot of time and work putting together. And she's asked also that maybe you could pass it on to other people rather than throw it away, so that it's as accessible as possible and so you can read about the issue. And we always welcome feedback from the members of our community. I know that every year we seem to have missed someone, and we try really hard to respond to whatever issues come up in our community. This year we have advanced ticket sales. 2 years ago we instituted a student and senior grade. And we're very open to hearing from you and to being able to accommodate as many people in our community as possible, even with the diversity of the community. So if you have things that you want us to do differently, please let us know. Try and let us know in enough time in advance so that we can do something about it. And I know that it's maybe unconscious on our part that we haven't dealt with childcare before, and I apologize for that, and yet we will do the best we can. If you're also in support of this, support Tara. If there's money left over from Tara's childcare money, we can make it available to other mothers who can't afford to have childcare. And also be willing, if you're interested and want to know more, talk to Tara. Okay, now we have every evening, we've been fortunate enough to collect enough prizes that there is a door prize. And Jerry Thuringer, who is our special events coordinator, is going to come down and give you the ticket number. Now, each of your tickets has a number on it. One of you will be the lucky winner.
Aren't you excited?
Yes.
Is this fun? No, not about this stuff. Although this is very cool, but like same-sex people kissing each other. I'm too excited. Okay, what have we got? I don't need this microphone. We have a book, a book called Making Out, Plays by Gay Men. You know, it looks good. The bold collection of 6 short stories captures the vibrant range of styles and concerns that propel gay male culture to the center stage of contemporary Canadian theater. Looks good. Rock voisine. You gotta love that one. And then, of course, no collection is complete without the CD to Meet Me in St. Louis. All of this is great. One of our volunteers, Jerry Brunet, went out and did all this fabulous work. And we have these for you, and we surreptitiously picked a number when no one was looking out at the door. And check your tickets now, because it's number 44. Oh, a woman, of course! There you go. So I did see 44 just in case you're, okay. Thanks a lot. Now, I have one other announcement. Just by a round of applause, how many people are staying for the second show? That's fabulous. For those of you who aren't, but still, you know, you want to go out, you want to have a coffee, you want to talk about the wonderful film you just saw, maybe a drink or two, I have something for you to go to later, perhaps, that you might like to do. There's a wonderful new comedy group in town called The Legend of Bonefish. And see them now, because they'll be charging $38.50 like Kids in the Hall next year. And it's $3 tonight, so you might want to see them. Something to do afterwards, it's 2 blocks away at the corner of Seymour and Davie. It's called the Poco Loco, and it's downstairs, and it's amateur comedy night before they get on. But I've seen 2 of the comedians before, and they're absolutely hysterical. And then The Legend of Bonefish comes on, and The Legend of Bonefish is 5 guys, 1 girl. They're all straight, but they're still doing a benefit for Out on Screen, which is absolutely amazing. Yeah, they're going to come and do our volunteer party. So if you could support them, that would be fabulous. It's at the Poco Loco. The show starts at 10. They go on at 11. So when the lousy comedians are on, you can talk about the film, and then you can watch The Legend of Bonefish.
I have socks and like the, anyway.
All right. So thank you very much. Enjoy your film. Have a wonderful evening, and hopefully we'll see you at the Poco Loco later.
Our opening night guest is Betty Baxter. Betty is a good friend and business partner, so I can speak nothing but very wonderful things about her. If you don't know, she's the NDP candidate for Vancouver Centre, running against Kim Campbell and Eddie Fry and I don't know who else. But we know Betty's going to win. We're going to vote for her. She's on our side, and she's here this evening to open the festival.
Use this because I'm not sure I can match Jerry's enthusiasm or vocal power. Trust him to put a politician right after a really fun, lively person, right? I'll try and learn how to be a really fun, lively politician. First of all, I'm really honored to be able to open the festival and to say a few words about what I think is important about the festival and about us being visible here in 1993 in Vancouver Centre. Certainly, we all know here tonight that we can't win a fight for equal rights or a fight for equal place in our society if nobody knows who we are, and if we never have our culture on screen, or we never have our own communities visible to each other and to society at large. So certainly, I want to really congratulate Out on Screen for 5 years of getting our images, same-sex people kissing, as Jerry said, up on screen so that we can see them to start with and build our own pride, but also so that our supporters can have a sense of what's our culture, what's our community, what are our lives about. And that's really important stuff, and let's not forget both how radical and how profound it is that in this city we've got some successful culture happening. The other thing is, I just want to comment on the tremendous growth in that visibility we've had since 1990. It's been astonishing to me to see bands, choral groups, the film festival, all kinds of things that have started up in our community, and we're out there. We no longer have to be sort of down in the things like the Poco Loco, hidden away places where you have to know the secret address to be able to find them. We're out and proud about it. So I think that what we can look at now is how are we going to push mainstream, one, for more money, so more of us can make films, and I'm sure there's a few of you out there that are in the business, or at least interested to be in the business, and also more ways that our communities get recognized to do this, so that we're not always doing it on shoestring budgets, and we're not always having to do it in small venues, or in venues where we have to have friendly management to get in, for example. So I think we still have a lot of work to do, but a lot of progress this year. So congrats to the team. I think 1993 is going to be the year where we have a little bit of visibility, hopefully on the political scene as well, and the kind of success that you've seen out on screen. I hope we have next fall in terms of Vancouver Centre, that's for sure. Have a great festival. It's going to be hopefully 4 days of pride and lots of friendliness in the community and lots of statements that we can make around we're not going away, and we're in fact only going up and out prouder from here on in. Thank you.
Yeah.
Et vous êtes un volontaire pour le festival de Joyeux. C'est ça. Et who's doing the interview? I'm doing the interview. Are you single or married?
Single at the moment.
And how old are you?
28.
Are you 29?
I'm actually 27.
I see.
Should probably work.
Yeah, point back. Are you going to be seeing some videos tonight?
Volunteering behind to watch the show after that.
Have you seen the winning entry?
Yeah, I haven't.
Oh, did you hear about that? Nothing?
Nothing yet.
Okay, it's a surprise. What's it
Probably work a little better if you come this way a little more. Let's see.
Select this kind of sound. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, and if the person on that side is, could you come this way a little bit? Yeah, oh, see there.
Is that better this way?
Yeah, if it works
So
like that.
Robert should be here. And
However, it doesn't really
Robert should be
matter.
here. And what's up like this? See, like this? Is that good?
Well, he might actually be better there because if I go in close on whoever's answering, being interviewed.
Oh, that's right. Okay, he's interviewing the. And your name is Louise Paul.
A little closer.
Nice meeting you.
Andre? Come this way a little bit, a little closer. There we
I
go.
heard you're very sharp.
A little bit.
Especially when we call you Louise.
Right. Well, my name is not Louis.
I had a baby called you Dorothy. Touch me in the morning.
What are you taking this for?
Oh, basically for the archives. Oh, jeez. Flash. The archives myself and maybe Roger here, if they have some room for that, and maybe CBC if they
Yeah, well, this definitely helps.
Huh?
It definitely helps that way.
So I think we should use.
Have a look.
Okay. Okay, it's running. In 5, 4. Yeah. Testing 1, 2. This is
Louise Pohl.
okay. Are we in 5? Good evening.
My name is Louise Pohl, and I'm president of Out on Screen.
And could you tell us your impression of this year festival and your expectation of this year festival and what made it different from last year?
Well, I've been involved with the organization since the first year. So, as you said, it's our 5th year, and it seems each year we acquire a few more skills, we get a few more volunteers, we learn a few more things, what not to do more than what to do. And I think this year, because we have a paid administrator, an office, that's made a tremendous difference. And what it's meant is that the board has not had to be the administrator of the festival. The board has been able to direct the festival. So we have an administrator of this office. We can now organize a volunteer corps. So I think the biggest difference is because we had a central place to work out of, we were able to accomplish, I'd say, even twice as much as we have in the past. So we can sell advance tickets. We've wanted to do that for years, but we've never been able to have the volunteers or the time. And so I'd say the biggest difference, the big step we took this year was to acquire some money, which we did through a casino fund that allowed us to have some staff, like one staff person. And that's made our life so much easier, and it's allowed us to concentrate on programming, to concentrate on some of the things that would, in past years, would be nice to have.
Could you tell us about the video contest, what it's all about, and what you are expecting from other contests next year, if there's another one?
Well, it was an idea that came up in our publicity committee, and what we try and do each year is to reach out to different facets of the community, and for years we've wanted to support gay and lesbian filmmakers. So what we thought this year we would do is to not only support gay and lesbians who are currently filmmakers or video artists, but maybe to encourage some hidden talent in the community. So it was an idea that came from one of the volunteers, why not have an instant video star contest, and the prize being that the winning video gets screened during the festival. And then what happened was the quality of the videos was so great all around that the top 5 people are being screened tonight. And I think I'm going to push for it to happen as an annual event. The response was good. We got, I think, 12 entries altogether, and that 5 of them were of the quality of screening. I think it's just amazing. So I just think it's a great way to reach out to the community, encourage the filmmakers, and then this year also, the proceeds of our benefit screening go to the Out on Screen Scholarship Fund for gay and lesbian filmmakers, which is something we've wanted to do since year 1.
Could you tell us about your main theme for this year?
This year it's cross-dressing, and usually the themes are driven by what's available, and this year there were a lot of films in particular available about drag, and then we managed on the women's end of things to come up with some films about crossover dressing, lesbian fashion, body hair, the image of women looking like men, and something we've wanted to do for the last 3 years is have a filmmakers forum. So we were able to take the gender issue, put it into one women's program, one men's program, and then we'll have a forum following those programs to discuss the issues that came up in the films.
What theme would you like to touch next year or in the next years?
Next year, we already know, Canadian content. We're going to, we already have quite a few Canadian films potentially lined up, and that's going to be our focus next year, is as much Canadian content as possible. We've always gone for preference of Canadian film and video, again to support our community in our country, but next year that's going to be our focus.
Well, I wish you all the best, and hopefully we'll see more of you and more of the film festival.
Thank you very much.
I thank you.
That's right, exactly.
Okay. Hi, I'm Rob Atkinson, and we're at the opening of the Out on Screen Film Festival for 1993. And joining me is Betty Baxter, who is the NDP candidate in the federal riding of Vancouver Centre, and soon will be very busy in an election campaign, no doubt. Betty, you are here tonight to introduce or to open the film festival and the first movie. Can you tell us why it's so important?
Well, I was delighted to be asked to open the festival because I think it's time that we had gay and lesbian culture out on screen so that people could see the kinds of communities we have, the kind of art we can produce. It also helps us to see ourselves that we're not just closeted in our homes, but we have community events, community festivals, and the fact that this festival's lasted 5 years is a tremendous success, and hopefully it'll be another 5 or 10 and we'll be able to have larger venues, more audiences, more support.
And not only that, we are in fact talking about movies that are not just Canadian or American, but international. And tonight is Victor und Victoria, which is, I think there's been a renaissance, or at least an echo of that in a later movie with Julie Andrews. But this is something different.
That's right. This was the original, I think it's from the 1940s, the original film from Germany that first started to play with that whole gender switching. And it shows how we've contributed as a community. The gay and lesbian artists have contributed for decades, and it's about time that we had our images up there and had some recognition for it.
If you get elected, what are you going to do in terms of promoting art, generally speaking? Because, you know, the arts are, you know, one of the first victims of recessions and government cutbacks and whatnot. And more specifically, will there be any kind of programs for gay and lesbian art forms?
Well, I can't promise that there will be programs. Certainly if I get elected, I will be a very noisy advocate to have funding for the creation of gay and lesbian art, and also to have some recognition of the contribution that artists and culture workers make in this country. I think we've had a couple of decades really of moving the other direction, particularly the last 8 years with the Tories. There's no recognition of the value, both economic value and personal and societal value that art contributes. And it's important to stop that trend and reverse it and get our cultural bodies stable again and increase the funds that go toward them and really change our priorities at the federal level. That's what I'll be working for.
Will you be coming to see any more of the movies in the Out on Screen Festival while it's on the rest of the week?
I really hope I'm able to. I have a very busy weekend ahead, but I'm going to try and make whatever I can.
Well, now's the time to come in and have some popcorn and enjoy the movies, because soon this will be just a wonderful little dream for you.
No, I'm going to keep a life. You can do good political work and still have a life.
Betty Baxter, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed the Out on Screen Film Festival.
Thanks, Rob. That's
Good?
great.
You done?
Chatty couple.
There you are, Andre. So what are we talking about? What are we supposed to do?
He's in charge of the men's programming,
Men's programming, okay.
so you're going to be talking about
So
this
Just your
year.
last week's interview. Just what you want.
Yeah, what else? Okay, why don't you? I mean,
Okay, we did the Bearded Lady, and
Yeah.
we did
We did the
Nazi
Bearded
thing?
Lady, well, she's playing tonight, so that might be a tad.
Oh, that's
late.
right. That's right. Yeah.
something
Sex
like whatever is interesting.
Okay. Well, maybe we could. Should we? Do you want to start off with a comment on Victor Victoria being the first thing, or do you want this to be more of a generic thing that we've
More
done?
generic thing. One thing you
Okay.
might want to talk about is actually the fact that we have video contest winners
Yeah, please.
like Andre.
Video.
So he has like local interest.
Okay. Let's talk about that then.
Yeah.
In terms of that. Okay. Video
Just don't
winners
ask for
and
names because I don't have them.
Okay,
in
but
my head.
you know what the basic content of these films, these
I
videos
have
are?
no idea. But I can't. One thing I could talk about is the fact there's simply more local production being done.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways we found out was simply by the people who entered our video contest. We had 12 submissions, which is a very quite a high.
And how long ago did you start the contest, or when did you
Well,
first?
about a couple of
call it?
months ago. So
So-
we actually started after Christmas.
Okay, and this is going to be the first time you've done it.
This time we will do it next year.
And you're
because
going to
I
do
did
it? Do you want the full introduction again? I'm Rob Atkinson, blah blah blah, or should we just go into it? Okay. I'm Rob Atkinson, and we're at the opening night of the Out on Screen Film Festival, the Gay and Lesbian Film Festival for 1993. And with me is Robert Braffon, who is the co-director of the Men's Programming Committee for the festival. Robert, welcome to.
Thank you.
It's wonderful
Well-
being here tonight. You know, the opening, and there's milling of people around.
True,
and
and
so on.
pleasant weather. It's not pouring outside, which is a change.
You're starting off with a European entry, Victoria, and I'm just wondering, is most of the fare that you're going to have on at the festival from outside Canada this year?
We usually have a high percentage of Canadian content, as any duly nationalistic cultural organization, not to mention chauvinist, I suppose. We try to strike a good balance between films that come from America simply because they're English language and we're influenced by Hollywood, Canadian products, European titles, which are sometimes a bit harder to get and are much more expensive to ship, for one thing, and some historical films. Like this year we opened with the with Victor Victoria, which is a 1933 German
This is
film.
not the Julie Andrews.
No, not the
version.
Julie Andrews. This is Renate Müller, not half as good, but pretty snappy nonetheless. And that's mostly because the Goethe Institute was a very good contact for us. We do that, and this year, mind you, we've noticed that we've had far more local content, or at least local interest.
You
than-
held a contest this year, did you not, for local video
well, actually,
makers?
for local non-filmmakers and people who happen to own a video camera and wanted to make their own movie, and we asked them, well, okay, fine, here's a contest for you, 5 minutes, gay or lesbian content or both. And
These
we'll
are
give you
instant
prizes.
Gus Van Sants we're talking about?
Exactly, yeah. And we had quite a few submissions. Well, we had 12 submissions, which is, considering that we're actually asking people to make a movie, I thought was an amazing number. We even had an entry from the Yukon.
Really?
Yeah.
Great.
And we chose 5 winners, and we'll be screening them tonight. And it's actually an exciting development.
This is like Cannes.
Well, mine
Beginning
is the
of
top
it?
of starlets, yes, but I suppose so, yeah.
Cannes started quite humbly.
And we're still humble after 5 years.
And you
okay.
are the longest gay and lesbian festival in the country, are you not?
Well,
In
we're the oldest in English
Canada?
Canada, yeah, Montreal being much older. We're still young compared to, say, San Francisco's festival, which I think is in its 15th year now. But in terms of just longevity and continuity and programming and policies and so on, we're the oldest in English Canada. Even older than Toronto by a year.
Oh, the center of the universe was knocked off to the side, was it?
They're jealous, I tell you.
I'm sure they must be. But you have an eclectic content in the films or videos that we're going to be shown during this festival. There's one with a bearded lady?
Oh, it's a wonderful movie called Juggling Gender, which is not a bad play on words, since she actually works as a juggler in a queer circus in Lower Manhattan, only in New York, and it's a wonderful movie about this woman who has a lot of facial hair and decided to grow a beard. And indeed, it's quite a luxurious beard, and she looks wonderful in it. Yeah. And it raises all sorts of really interesting questions, like why do many of us, men and women, have a hard time with women having facial hair? Mm-hmm. What's the big deal? And I have to admit that when I talk to certain women who have, say, the occasional little curl, I'm really fascinated by it. And yet, here I was sitting through this documentary thinking that this woman with a full beard looked wonderful and looked incredibly sexy.
She didn't seem to be an oddity then, which is often associated with circles or carnivals where the bearded lady goes or the...
Although she actually does work as a bearded lady in Coney Island of all places, but she's very articulate. The film itself makes quite a few interesting points, and mostly visually, it's such a charge to see an extremely attractive bearded dyke. I mean, what more could you want?
That sounds fabulous. Is there any other ones that stand out in your mind in terms of either content, theme, or is there actually
as a programmer, I was going to say yes, they all stand out. Yeah. We do have a theme. We want to talk about transsexuality, or more specifically, gender bending, cross-dressing by both men and women, and essentially issues of representation, which is always a hotly debated issue because it boils down to who are we, how do we dress, how do we present ourselves not only to the outside world but within our own community?
And do we define ourselves by our dress?
Exactly, which is why we have two symposia this year on it. Her Suit, and Men on Uniforms.
Symposia attached to the festival?
Attached to the festival
Tell us about
over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially what we've planned two programs, one directed mostly to men, the other one mostly to women, that address specifically these issues, and the audience who will have gone to these either one of these programs or both will then be invited to just cross the hall at Robson Square and go into one of the conference rooms and take part in panel discussion. And we have a particularly exciting panel, including a Mr. Northwest Coast drummer.
Oh, great! Yeah, so you're doing the whole gamut.
From radical fairies to leather dykes. So,
leather dykes and anyone in between, whatever it's office drag, queen drag, or whatever.
Or straight identified men. Yeah.
Oh my God! Yes. Well, that sounds fabulous. So, are you going to try and do this more often in terms of the festival? Like you seem to have the representational aspect on the screen, as it were, and yet you're having discussions, organized discussions.
We're moving in that direction in the sense that, anybody can have a film festival. You show a bunch of movies and people come and watch them, and they may talk about the movies between themselves, but that doesn't, to my mind, create a real festival ambiance, which is to get people together, to get people who normally wouldn't really socialize with each other to start talking and to exchange views. And also we just want to make the festival something special that will attract a wider audience and encourage people to, increase their loyalty, I suppose, and their enthusiasm. So we'll be doing more symposia, we'll be looking at more events along those lines, and eventually it would be nice to have quite a series of symposia to accompany these things and similar events.
And of course, as the years go by and the film and video start to represent or record more and more our diversity in terms of, we're not monolithic gays and lesbians. It means actually nothing in many more ways, because there's all our lives that are attached to that key factor. But
well, when people talk about diversity, they usually tend to talk about it in terms of, sort of like the heterosexual community having to accept us because of it. But in fact, we have exactly the same problem within our own community, and sometimes I get the impression that minority communities are even less flexible about issues of diversity, simply because they frequently feel put upon, they have a sort of siege mentality. And I'm hoping that on screen will be a way to encourage we ourselves to become more liberal, more, how do I put it, simply more open-minded about all the aspects of our community. I was talking to two filmmakers this morning in Toronto whose film I had to turn down simply because they didn't for their program. They were two transsexuals and they were convinced that they were being discriminated against. And when you have that sort of response and you realize there is indeed an issue to be addressed here and people to be spoken to directly, and hopefully people for whom you can do something in the long term. So yeah, diversity is not only is one of the key elements of this sort of film festival on all sorts of levels, personal and just official for that matter.
And it more accurately reflects our community as it is.
Or such as we perceive it, which is not necessarily the same thing.
That's true. Well, Robert, there will be a lot of movies that we can perceive and even watch over the next.
Oh, thank you. I
few
hope
days.
so.
So, good luck with the film festival, and good luck next year with the next one.
Thank you.
Okay. Good.
I sounded like an idiot.
You did not. I thought you really good. You had more time tonight than you had on the radio, which is nice because we could try to be more relaxed in terms of getting stuff done.
Your coffee's
Can I have
ready.
the coffee, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
But then it makes me look so large. So look
You
how
are
big that
big.
woman
You're
is.
a big girl. Look at this. See? There you go.
I've got to
See,
see
they never-
how we're going to do this. You see, I've got to go up to Randy. I can't have you. I've got to have you.
So do you need a phone book? No, you don't need a phone book.
Yeah, if you were in a phone book, and then you'd be higher, and you could stand like that.
Either that, or you're going to have to be on my other side, and I'm going to. Is that better?
Yeah.
I talk to the star and the director, and we have sort of a stand down.
Or I go like this.
Okay.
Look, I lost beats.
Be back.
Well, you have to come into frame.
Huh?
You have to come Belbury.
I'll
You have
take
to
my
come into
shoes
frame. All
Okay.
right.
Sure.
I'm
Okay. How?
shorter.
All right. That's a little bit better. Yeah, we're almost. But you're about an inch or two higher.
And
than me.
in five.
Yeah, okay.
In 5, 4.
Goddamn buses are the things that bother me. When we were doing the one with Robert, a couple of buses went by. So there's going to be some real
Is he filming?
bad ambient noise. Are you filming? Anytime. Okay.
In 5, 4.
I'm Rob Atkinson, and I'm at the opening night of the Out on Screen Film Festival for Gays and Lesbians in 1993, and I'm joined with Randy Pierce, who is also known as Judy Jive. Randy, welcome to the Out on Screen.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
You're a star, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But
Okay.
you're on the big screen tonight.
Yeah, that's
Right,
quite
good for you.
exciting. Good for us.
And on the other side of me is Andre Tardif, who is a technical director, and he helped produce the video that Randy or Judy Jive here is in. Welcome.
I beg your pardon?
Welcome.
Thank you.
So,
It's nice to be here too.
congratulations, you have won an award tonight for this thing, the two of you.
Yes, we did.
How did this come about? Were you was this a contest, or how did this come about?
There was a contest, but we had done the video before. Randy and I had talked about it. Randy came up with the concept, and with my equipment and expertise in directing videos, we decided to do it. So over the past 10 months, we decided to do it and produce it, and we had a final product. Then the contest came along, and we just submitted the video to see what could happen.
And the rest is history. Here we are in front of the lights on opening night.
That's right.
Great. Randy, as Andre just said, the concept was yours.
Yes.
The name of the video is Beads.
That's it.
I'm going to let you go on here, and you can give us a treatment, or what would you say to a Hollywood producer or someone like Andre here to get him interested to help you out on this project?
How about pay me $5 million for my next film?
Oh, that will get me too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a video that we had been wanting to do for quite some time because Andre and I have been friends for many years and done some videos over the years of shows that I've done and stuff like that. But we actually wanted to collect some video footage and put it together in a montage type film. And we actually did it for a show that was produced last year by one of the organizations here in Vancouver, and it premiered at that. So it's quite exciting to do it and fun for the two of us to get together and do that.
Now, I know it's going to be shown here, premiering here tonight, but I've actually seen a sneak preview.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of different scenes and different poses and different yous,
Yeah.
in a sense. How many costumes did it take? It must have been a lot of planning to put this thing together.
Yeah, there was we planned a lot for a long time, and throughout the planning, the concept of the video changed slightly. Yeah, we're probably, I'd say, around 40 costumes for the whole presentation altogether. You know, lots of different changes and different things. We want it to be fun, exciting, and lots.
I know some people who'd be very envious when that number
Yeah.
40 comes up.
Yeah. Well, it's a collection, that's for sure.
and it was over several seasons, and you had a winter season. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to do, that was the initial theme of the video, was to film it over the 4 seasons of the year that we have here in beautiful Vancouver. And we wanted to include a lot of the scenery, which we did, as you'll see. And yeah, we planned to film a winter scene, and we planned it when there was actually snow on the ground. And we really, really hoped that it would snow the day that we actually filmed. And to our luck, when we woke up that day, it was snowing.
There was
So
snow on the
wonderful.
ground. Everyone else was in disbelief and cursing, and you were in seventh heaven.
That's right. Up at Queen Elizabeth Park, and we told everyone that I was the Snow Queen.
And indeed, you played the role very well.
Thank you.
Andre, how do you put this together? How do you help her out? Do you help Randy visualize the scene, the background, the video space, as it's sometimes called?
I think it's a teamwork. I mentioned a few ideas, and then he comes up with his own, and then we just meet halfway and make it work. Sometimes it's not possible to a specific scene. Like I can't, ask him to click his heels and end up in Kansas. It's not possible yet. But things that are possible, we just get it to work.
Is he hard to work for or with? The producers and directors can be very, they're to excuse the expression, petite Napoleons at times.
Well, no, he wasn't difficult to work with, but I must say I couldn't understand why he made me sing the song about 500 times. But in the end product, and trusting his expertise, that he knew what he was talking about, and for me to actually believe that, we needed to do this over and over. And in the end, I really, understood why. So it was his expertise and my interest in video and visual pictures, to make it happen.
It takes a long time to make those few minutes come to life.
Certainly does. Yeah, it certainly does. A lot of planning, a lot of shooting. I couldn't believe the amount of shooting that we had to do for the end product, but it was all worth it.
Well, we're going to go in very shortly to see it, and there's a lot of people out here lined up to get in for the first night of the opening of the Out on Screen Festival. And so I've been talking with Andre Tardif, a technical director and video maker here in Vancouver, and Randy Pierce, also known as Judy Jive, and her debut on the big screen with her video Beads. Thank you both.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that little red light's still blinking. We're all back.
Okay. If I can have actually quite a few minutes of your attention. My name is Albert Rothman. I'm one of the programmers of the festival. This happens every year. Okay, try it again. My name is Albert Rothman. I'm one of the programmers of the festival. I'd like to welcome you to our 9:30 show of our 5th annual edition of Out on Screen. We have a gazillion announcements to make and many people to introduce, so we'll try to be brief. You'll be called upon to spontaneously applaud, not unlike a game show audience gone queer, so I hope we can count upon your cooperation for this. Before we actually go on to the program, the remittance of prizes and stuff like that, we have, don't jump your cues. For those of you who were here for the 7 o'clock show, you'll have heard Louise Pohl, the president of Out on Screen, talk about the issue of accessibility to women's and queer events. And this was brought up by a woman called Tara, who was out distributing leaflets at our 7 o'clock show. There's a group of 6 women for whom this is an important issue, and they asked us for some microphone time. And after a certain amount of hawing and hemming and hawing on our part, we said okay, and mostly because they promised to be admirably brief and concise, and we trust them as they will be so. So before we move on to the program, I'd like to ask Ju, who is part of this group, to come to the microphone and talk to, basically pitch you her ideas.
Hello, my name is Borju, and what I'm going to, louder?
Volume, please. Can't hear anything.
Okay, I have a big voice. What I'm going to say is not just about Out on Screen, so it's about many festivals and many women's and queers events. And first of all, I want acknowledgement that this practical solution idea was thought by another lesbian mother who is poor and has very little time in her hands, and who's probably too angry and defensive to speak here tonight. I feel a little better because it's Welfare Wednesday. And I want that acknowledgement that it's, again, another tired lesbian mother herself taking something as humiliating as this on, because it was embarrassing to ask for money. And we're not being, as a lesbian mother, I feel that we are not being petty, uppity, or ungrateful in this demand that we expect you, our daughters and sons, to acknowledge and respect our realities and understand that we also like to go to films, and we also like to go to conferences and events, and we don't want to be in the position of exploiting child care workers in our homes, who are, by the way, also mostly women, mothers, and many of them are queers. And please remember that all of you are here today because a woman and maybe a dyke has given birth and life to you. And I want everyone to help in making all women's and queers events accessible to all women and queers, providing childcare and or expenses. This is not a special request, this is the least, and it should be a priority. It's an old issue, it's nothing new. And we as mothers and lesbians have a right to be here, and our childcare workers deserve to be paid at least minimum wage. We do not want lip service to mothers. I do not want honoring on Mother's Day. We want money to pay our childcare workers. Thank you. Oh, I forgot something, the most important thing. I'm sorry, for the lesbian mothers who are here, there will be myself and Carly in glasses and red shirt right there, who are outside. We will pay the mothers directly tonight. And if anyone would like to make any more contributions, we'll be outside. Please see us.
Actually, I'm sort of at a loss to follow this in the appropriate tone. Okay, sorry. So a few on a more banal level of stuff. I just wanted to remind you that we have an AGM Monday, September 13th. I know it's only May, but anyway, September 13th we will have our AGM, which will be at the Circa Co-op on Woodland Drive. We are looking for board members and committee heads, and if any of you really like movies and like to be involved in an organization like Out on Screen, then please come to our meeting. We serve food and cookies and stuff like that, and we'd love to see you. There's also a, thanks to the effort of our fundraiser, Jerry Brunet, we actually have prizes to give out every single evening at every single screening. And so it's sort of like those really odious prize giving, it's like gimmicks that you get when LG73 does a Thursday free movie at Granville 7. So we want to ask you to stand up and look under your seats. We'll spare you that embarrassment, but whoever, you'll have to get out your ticket stubs. I'm sorry. Yeah, there it is. And whoever has the winning ticket stub will get a Dan Rudnicki mystery called Flesh Wound by Paul Pesco, and a magazine subscription to Extra. So for those of you who are expatriate Torontonians, I'm sure this is thrilling news. And the lucky and happy and no doubt thrilled winner, and you can applaud after this, is ticket holder number 105. Does somebody have 105 who'll own up to it? If I won't do the come on down bit, but if you'd like to come down and get your ticket, please don't be shy about it. No, we don't. There's just the lady in yellow. Okay, just moving along here, we have a sponsor for tonight's screening, the Vancouver Film School, which is in fact screening this presentation of Barbara Hammer's Night of Kisses and our video contest entries. We're very excited that the Vancouver Film School has agreed to sponsor this. We I won't say this is like being legitimized or anything like that, but we are thrilled that a film school in Vancouver is beginning to recognize the importance of out on screen as a filmmaking event. Before we move on to the video contest winners, and we'll be introducing you to two winners, I'd just like to mention briefly about Nitrate Kisses. Barbara Hammer is basically the doyenne of American avant-garde filmmakers. This, in many ways, is her breakthrough film, which is about time considering she turned 70 this year. And it's a truly splendid film. It falls neatly into three sections. Two of them, the first and the last section are devoted to the importance of lesbian history. And the images are really quite lovely, quite striking, and if you know anything about avant-garde film, you'll be thrilled that they share expertise in filmmaking. The middle section is a very long tribute to the first gay film ever shot in America, Lot and Sodom, by two men. Which is why we thought it was a sort of mixed film. It's strong in lesbian content for the first and the last thirds, and the middle third is basically, I won't say male-oriented, but it sort of falls like that, and that's been the reaction to the women who've seen the film this far. But it's a splendid film, and in case you're not familiar with Barbara Hammer's movie, she almost single-handedly created lesbian imagery in the 60s and 70s, so this is truly an important film, and we're thrilled to be giving its Vancouver premiere. Now, we also had a video contest, and this was which took place after Christmas. And it's essentially directed towards not filmmakers or video makers, but people who happen to own video cameras and like to shoot home movies and wanted to shoot queer home movies. And we put out a contest for, we had 12 entries, which was a pretty snappy response, I think. And 5 won prizes. And I'd like to point out that one of them, in fact, one of the entries came all the way down from Whitehorse, which we think is some sort of accomplishment. So all of the winners will have received, sorry, this is where it gets complicated, there's all these prizes to give out. Starting, you'll see the films listed in your program. The last 3, which is Icarus Landed by Kenneth Sherman, ABC Myopathy by Shaba Tamasi, and Beads by André Tardif and Randy Pierce, have all won gift certificates from Videomatica. And in fact, Shaba's roommate Andy is in the audience if you'd like to come down and pick up the lovely Videomatica gift certificate in his name. More applause. This is so unique. The second prize winner was Linda Hancock, whose film is called Odd Gals Out. And Linda, who's here tonight, somewhere in the audience, has won a Video In membership, so we'd like to thank Video In for their very generous gift. And if Linda would like to come down and collect her gift and say a few words about Odd Gals Out, we'd be thrilled and pleased. Hello, Linda. Oh yeah, soldered intermission. Well, should she ever come back? And actually, this is where I knew I was going to be embarrassed. André Tardif. Linda is not here, she's out of town. Now we'll get rational. André Tardif, who made Beads, is actually in the audience. He was the man with the camera crew, so if André would like to come down to give his lovely Videomatica prize to a great round of applause. And finally, we have, in fact, if André would like to come back, as I do, if I ever get this MC job down pat, I'll ask André to say a few words about his film, which we'll be screening in a few minutes. And also, Jeanette Node, whose name we misspelled in the program, our apologies. Janet, sorry. What do you want? I'm French. It's Jeanette to me. Is in the audience also tonight, and she won a course from the Vancouver Film School. If Janet would like to come down. Oh, sorry. Yeah, actually, if you'd like to just stay here. André, if you'd like to come to the podium and just say a few words about your film, and Jan will follow.
I'm not a good speaker. A good listener and a good voyeur, if you say so. But I'd like to explain what the...
Louder, please.
I'd like to explain a bit about the video that I did with Randy Pierce, who is the star of the video. Randy does cross-dressing, or also known as drag, and is a very good graphic artist, and we're very good friends, and we worked together for quite a few years just shooting videos here and there. So Randy came up with a concept about making a video of Vancouver, of himself, and the Four Seasons and so on. So he came up with a concept, and I was basically the technical director, and basically did some shooting and did the editing. So we spent maybe 70 hours to 100 hours making the video. But it's basically a video about being yourself, being happy with yourself, no matter if you're wearing pants or dresses, just being comfortable with whatever you do, and expressing yourself and being happy and being a friend of loyalty, if you say so. So I'll let you enjoy the video. I'm not a good speaker. I would like to, though, to have Randy Pierce come here and tell you for himself what the video was all about. Randy, just 2 minutes, please. Of his precious time. I think I'm gonna have to move the mic slightly higher.
I knew he was going to do that. As Andre said, he basically explained everything from the video. We just wanted to do something that was fun and wild, and we had a very good time filming it. I'm kind of interested in video myself, and well, we had a good time, and I hope you enjoy it. Basically, he said the rest. Thank you.
Hi, my name is actually Janet No. I understand it's a really difficult one. I've been getting it all my life. Sorry. I was really surprised to find out that I own a camcorder. I don't. I said I was really surprised to find out that I own a camcorder because I don't. I did this video in Emily Carr. I took a part-time studies class there last fall, and this is the first video that I made. I made 3 there. Basically, it's a self-portrait. It's kind of a who am I, and I didn't really know how to approach that subject, so I kind of did a humorous take on it. And I got my friends to tell you who I am, so I hope you enjoy it. I had fun doing it. Thanks.
The last word, and you'll be reassured to know that no other program has these many introductions to get to sit through. We'll be showing apparently the original half-inch copies, and the projectionist said this might present some problems. If there are any technical glitches, like loading the VCR, etc., please be patient. We will try to iron them out as quickly as possible. Otherwise, thank you very much for your patience, and we hope you enjoy the evening.
Yay!